Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Occult Think Tank. My name is Greg. In this video, I am going to be showing you a discussion topic that I started in an atheist versus Christian extreme debate group on Facebook, where I asked the question that you see in front of you, and I addressed it to atheists because I'm going to be doing a video coming up on the idea of ghosts and higher dimensions. But I want you to see the question that I asked and how I asked it. And what I asked is, atheists, what are your thoughts on ghosts or higher dimensions? I didn't think I needed to put anything else in there. I wanted to just see what people were going to say about the idea of ghosts or higher dimensions. One of the things that you'll notice very quickly is the first one tries to speak for all atheists, which I think is presumptuous as hell, to say I don't think atheists believe in such thing. I am one atheist that does consider various possibilities and the idea of ghosts or higher dimensions. And when I say higher dimensions, what I mean is any dimension that would be higher than the third dimension, spatial dimensions. Because to me, the idea of a heaven and so forth, that is a fantasy type of idea. That is not anything that is based in any type of reality. That is pure fantasy thinking. There is no evidence that such could even exist. What would be more likely if a heaven, quote unquote, would exist, that is a higher dimension, be it a fourth, fifth, up to 10th or so dimension. And it would be something that, as a third dimensional being, we wouldn't be able to go to. Not in three-dimensional form. So, there were various ideas that were mentioned, various points of view, and I was basically staying out of it for the most part to let people just give me their opinion, because I wanted to see, and the overall consensus from those that had answered was basically to ridicule the type of question. And that in and of itself, I think, speaks volumes for at least these atheists. And I won't even say that these represent all atheists, because they certainly don't represent me. And to give you an idea of why I'm doing this video now, I have to. Because somebody, probably the person I was arguing with last, that I'm going to get to, had the question, or they did, or somebody that was an admin decided to remove the question. So it was either do the video now, or it would be gone forever. Because that's part of what groups like this do, is anything that I guess would get too hot, they remove it. But I'm not going to go through all of these, but I want you to see especially the one, the extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Yeah, I get that. I understand that. But there's the typical meme type of shit that I ignore stuff like that. And this one that I had answered was the ghosts are as real as gods. I disagree. And I had disagreed with that person, and I had said if Christians would have as much evidence that we have for ghosts for their God, that they would be all for trying to shut down. And I find it interesting in that I had posted a link to a video of Michael Jackson as a hologram, because I had asked the person what their thoughts were regarding the idea of a holographic universe. And that is a topic that I could cover in the future if you guys would want. But they had said about doing that of the, like, Christians, Jesus, and I would be, and I had said basically, he had made the statement of, because I was concerned. Yeah, there's the link I had to the hologram of Michael Jackson, and that I had said about having a holographic Jesus, they would tout that as evidence of their God type of thing. And then he was, think of the moment when we tell them. I get it. I get the humor that they would be, that person was going for. But there's a lot of, basically the answer is no, that they don't believe or they don't think about those things. What really got my attention was this jackass right here, because they had tried claiming and making the comparison to fictional characters like Superman or whatnot, and we have more evidence of ghosts and ghost type of activity than we do any type of fictional character. But this is the type of insane bullshit. And one of the things this person had tried doing, and it looks like that was removed, probably they removed their comment, when I was calling them out on what they were using, the letters OP. And I was, what define OP? And they used the term spiritual. And they tried telling me that I didn't know the context of the question. And it's like, how the hell does somebody reading a question that I asked know the context of the question and I don't? How do I not know the context of my own question is really what I'm asking. And when somebody tries to insert the idea of, like, spiritual or OP, what the hell is OP? Obvious pussy? I don't fucking know. I was honestly asking this person, define OP. What is it? He never would answer that. He wouldn't even define what he means by OP. Anybody in the comment section, if you can tell me, what does OP mean? I don't get it. What does it have to do with science, physics, anything? The only OP that I was able to find, when I did a Google search on it, it came up OP art. And it was the visual arts. I don't understand what OP is supposed to mean. So if you use a word or an acronym that in a response that I don't understand, I'll ask you to define what you mean. And I told this person that they basically won themselves a spot in this video because of how stupid they were being. Because they were trying to act like higher dimensions means a heaven or whatnot. that's just retarded. And I had said, you're acting like a Christian. Because I know to an atheist, that is the biggest insult that you can give, is to tell an atheist they're acting like a Christian. The thing is, and I had said, I realize I'm dealing with a Christian in making up terms and not defining them. Because I understand and I know the definition that Christians will give for spiritual. But I was wanting this person to define what they meant. It's much like if somebody would say about a God, you first have to define what you mean by a God. Because a God is such, the word God is such a loaded term. The person talking about it really needs to define what they mean in order to have a conversation about it. Because there is so much baggage that word carries. It's not a matter of being able to know what it means because of all of the baggage that... See, and here's somebody else that uses the OP. What is OP? I don't get it. When I look at OP, I look at what? Obvious pussy? I don't fucking know. I don't get where these people are trying to... Is it that they're just tossing the two letters around as if it is supposed to mean something? I don't fucking get it. And the aspect of how do you know ghosts exist? We have video evidence of what would be termed ghost activity. There are entire YouTube channels that are based on the idea of like ghost footage or weird shit. There's plenty of video footage of quote unquote ghost activity. I recognize and I know that there would be a lot of times a logical, rational explanation. And that is what I would lean toward. However, not all of the video footage we have of ghosts can be debunked, to use that term. So it's one, we have more evidence of ghosts by far than we do any God. We also have more evidence of like UFOs than we have of any God. There was one person that, I don't know if it was on this post or whatnot, that had said about equating the idea of near-death experiences. And I had asked them, do you believe in alien abduction claims or Bigfoot sightings? And they were, no, and I was, why not? And basically they had said that there's no evidence to believe such things, and I was like, same goes for me with near-death experiences. The same reason that a Christian can reject the idea of alien abduction stories or Bigfoot sightings or whatnot, it's the same reason that I reject the near-death experience stories. Not to mention I've had my own. And I look at it as it doesn't prove a damn thing. It certainly doesn't tell me what is going to happen in an afterlife. Or if there even is one. The idea of higher dimensions is mathematical. Yes, with string theory at this point, it is, and it could very well be that the aspect of higher dimensions would only be able to be seen in a mathematical aspect, that mathematically it works. But it's something that I am open to consider, and it's my big thing with it is I'll consider things even if I'm skeptical of it. I'll consider things like ghosts or higher dimensions and could this be real? Just like the aspect of a holographic universe, or that we're living in a hologram. I'll ponder and think about those things and try to think of, is there a way that I could explain that this doesn't work? And with the aspect of like a holographic universe, it seems there's no way to prove or disprove the hypothesis. So to me, it goes nowhere. But I'm going to look into it for a future video. And the subject of ghosts and higher dimensions is something that intrigues me. Not saying I am a firm believer in anything like that, no. But rather, I'm open to consider the question and something to think about. It seems, at least the atheists that were answering in this, that a lot of it is closed-minded, that they don't want to think outside the box. And I don't want to say that that is the case with everybody, but that seems to be the case with these, at least in this group, that this group seems to be, I guess, the focus of it is to fight with the atheists fighting with theists. But I don't see that as a debate. I see that as basically arguing, and you're going to get nowhere. And it is something that I think it's counterproductive for a discussion when it gets dogmatic on either side. That's where I look at things and I'm like, I'm open to consider things that otherwise may be more fringe. I get it. I get that some don't want to think about the different things, maybe because of how it could seemingly lead to a God notion or whatnot. But I'm not afraid of the idea of a God. Maybe that is what some of this comes down to, that people are actually afraid of the God question, so they want to take a more pragmatic and I have to see it to believe it type of thing. But science doesn't even work that way. Science can be based on the theoretical. I mean, there's an entire branch of physics called theoretical physics. So, theory and something being theoretical is scientific. A hypothesis is not a bad thing. Asking a question is not a bad thing. But it seems, if it's not constructed right, or if it appears to threaten the beliefs that others have, I don't get it. Because I don't understand why, like, why the aspect of spiritual has to be thrown into this question. Why? And for somebody to try and act like the context of this question involves spiritual, somebody please tell me, where in that question does any aspect of spiritual come in? The higher dimensions doesn't have to mean a spiritual. Because, well, the big thing with me is I don't even know what people mean by spiritual. There's baggage with that, just like there's baggage with God. However, I'm more interested in your thoughts on this, because I look at it from the aspect of the video that I have found, and in the video that I'm going to do on ghosts and so forth, I'll have pictures that show what, at least theoretically, are ghosts and so forth. I'm curious as to, assuming that that is something, that it's not a computer-generated image or fake in some way, that it is actually something real that was photographed. My question is, all right, what is this? What could cause something to be here but not here? Because there's no way, if you spray a ghost with a hose, you're not going to make it wet. The water will go right through it. So the idea of burning a ghost or whatnot, like the idea of after you die you're going to go to a hell, that makes no sense. Because everything I've seen with like ghosts and so forth, they're not capable of feeling pain. So if they can't feel pain, and physical things like fire or water go right through them, what exactly is going to be achieved by having them in a quote-unquote hell? What would be the point? And I think for at least these atheists, the very idea of the question is scary. So they don't even want to think about it. But that's something that I see as a shortcoming. I don't see it where it is a good thing, being afraid of a topic. Even if you don't like the implications of it, I don't see where being afraid of something is going to help you in any way. But feel free to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. Later, people.